I'm Kira.
And I'm Lisa, and this is our 2006 Dodge Sprinter van.
We made it a fixed bed because we were initially living in it for 6 months and traveling, and we thought that would be easier than making up a bed and taking it apart all the time. We've got like a nice 8-inch foam on here now we've upgraded a few times, and it's super comfy. The windows make it so that we can sleep end to end, which is really nice. We're both 5'8", and so it's pretty perfect. Then we've got our dining room. Okay. So we've got 2 seats that both have storage in them, and then our table. We can eat our breakfast and coffee and dinner. Good girl. Inside this one we've got our battery and inverter and all our electrical stuff. It's a 12-volt battery, 2,000 watt pure sine wave inverter. We've got 540 watts of solar on the roof that barely fit, but we made it work. Yeah, and we did such a beefy power system, A, because our friend hooked us up with the solar panels, and B, because I like to cook and I wanted this like insanely large fridge that pulls all of our power. So that's definitely what the whole system was for. Plus I have a piano, so when we were traveling I wanted it to be the better sine wave inverter so that my piano would work, and it did. Got 3-burner stove that we've just like 2-way taped onto the counter, so we don't really ever move it unless it's really nice out, and we'll bring it outside. It's been awesome. We can do like eggs, toast, and coffee at the same time, so 3 burners was super ideal. These 2 are kind of empty, and then this one is where we keep our garbage. We've moved our garbage area around like 4 times, but this has been a good system. And then like a sweeper and cleaning products and stuff in there. And then our sink here, it's a good small size. We have it running water from a bunch of tanks down there. I think we've got like 30 something liters. And then our gray water we just have straight to the ground, which I know a lot of van lifers don't do, but we use all like very environmentally friendly soaps and things like that, and we rarely do our dishes anyway, so it's mostly just water that goes down there. Yeah, so there's this guy running water, which is awesome. Very key for getting up in the middle of the night and drinking cold water. We got our toilet partway into our 6-month trip, so we did the first 2 months I think without it, and we found that just like when we were in the middle of cities, or if it was like super cold or super rainy out, we weren't wanting to go outside, so we got this, and has been a game changer. It's been super awesome. But obviously we didn't build it into the van, so that's our next project, is to hide it somewhere. But it's been an ongoing thing. These are like cups and pans and then coffee stuff, and usually we have a bunch of food up here, but it's been a while since we've been out. These hinges have been a lifesaver. Those also we added late in the game, and we used to have to like hold it like that, and it was really annoying. So we have the fantastic fan. That was an early install, and it recently broke, so we have to order a new knob, but we just use a screwdriver right now, so that works. But it sucks in and sucks out and blows in. So we were looking to make like big drawers for this side of the underbed storage, just for like more clothes and stuff, because again we were living in here for a while. So we just bought this filing cabinet, again off Kijiji, for like $100.
No, it was like 20.
$20. Oh yeah.
Buy filing cabinet for $100.
Sure. And then we just like painted it kind of poorly. And it's sweet because it is big drawers that go right under. It was a perfect height for the table to come out at a good height, which was awesome. And it locks, so when we're driving, we're not worried about it slamming open and breaking, although sometimes we forget and it has broken, but it's all fixed now. Oh yeah, we did a 1.5-inch foam, like hard foam board. So we've got that all on the floor under the subfloor, and then ceiling, upper parts of the walls, and lower, I guess. It was a bit awkward. We looked into spray foam and we looked into like the wool and everything, but we ended up just doing foam board everywhere, so we like made like a puzzle and cut and pasted all in there. But it's been amazing. Like, it stays really toasty in here in cold days and pretty cool in the summer. And then the Reflectix window covers help a lot as well. And then we've got a diesel heater in here as well. We take our van up to Whistler a ton and snowboard all year, and this is kind of our little cozy cabin, so it blows out of here. It's hooked right up to our diesel tank, so it's tapped in from here down into our diesel tank, and it gets very, very warm. Even like -10, -20 degrees, we usually just keep it on the lowest setting and it's perfect. So we have just this basic old light switch here, 12-volt pot lights that we just wired straight into our battery. It's pretty bright, so if we're trying to be pretty stealth, then we will use our little twinkle lights that we have there, party lights. And this actually keeps it bright enough to, there we go, to hang out in here without it being like blinding. But obviously the bright lights when you need it is great. Our old dog Jimmy here, and then this is the first cross stitch and the last cross stitch I've ever done for my wife when I first met her, and her mom made those ones. We got this one in Newfoundland because it looked like that dog. And then like some driftwood pieces, and it's been really fun collecting like art and little things that kind of give the van character along the way, whether it's like actual art or like dollar store fake plants or lavender. It's been like, makes it feel like ours.
This wall we added later, and this is, I now do construction and home renos, and we replaced someone's fence, and this was their old fence that was like 20 years old, and we kept the old cedar panels because I thought they looked really cool and weathered, and made this into a wall. That's our like dash, that
Collection.
sticker collection. So we tried to buy a sticker in every park or state or province that we really loved. So just kind of started with one sticker, and then it like became to a point where there was no room for any more stickers. So we think we'd learn our lesson, but we don't. And we just wanted to keep this as open as and basic storage as possible, because our trip was moving from Toronto to Vancouver, so we had a lot of just like our stuff with us. We didn't go minimalist for our trip because part of it was our move. So yeah, we just kept this very open to fit, you know, our snowboards and everything on the side, and then fire pit in the middle and everything else. It does get very disorganized at times. That's mostly on me. So I think you could do a better system, I think, for organization, but it's nice to have it open just to be able to fit the most random objects. Firewood, fire pit, whatever. Originally when we met, I was living in a Chevy Express, traveling on my own. And I met her and tried to make her fall in love with Vanlife, and it was not hard at all. And it didn't take long for us to start dreaming of getting another van, because we're both taller than average women. So the Chevy Express was a little bit squishy with the both of us and a dog. We decided to quit our jobs and take 6 months to get from Toronto to Vancouver. Obviously not directly. We went to Newfoundland and Alaska and California and did a big figure 8 around the continent.
Yeah, so we bought it in February in Toronto. So generally it's like -10 to -30 in Toronto in the winter. We also had no parking, so I was living in like a high rise. So we parked it in this lot illegally for, well, not illegally, we just didn't pay. And it was at one point just a pure skating rink. Like we would get out of this like cold metal van trying to like clean it and take down all the stuff we didn't want, and then you'd step out of the van and like slip on this like skating rink. But it made it easier to get under the van because you could just kind of like slide under and look at what you needed to look at. So it was really tough at the start, especially because at the start it was just like demolition of like partitions and random pieces of wood that were drilled to the van, and all these like rivets that we didn't know how to get out. So it was super cold and super frustrating. And then once you got it insulated and we got the subfloor down and it started to warm up and look more like a camper van, it was like way more exciting and a little more motivating. At the start it was tough to get out there when it was -15 and miserable outside, but we did it, and we did it pretty fast. When we first moved into it, it didn't quite look like this. We had this list of other projects that we wanted, like little finishing touches that honestly have taken until now to kind of get done, but it was really still like very cute. And yeah, all the like little bits that we kind of recycled and resourced from random areas and junkyards and whatever really made it like feel extra homey, because there's a bit of a story for every piece that went in here. We didn't just buy like a bunch of lumber and a bunch of plywood and slap it on the walls. We like, you know, like this came from like my basement in my building, and this came from like a free wood get rid of on Facebook Marketplace, and this is from my hometown. And I think the hardest thing was our old dog, his water was on the ground, and we spilled that probably like 14 times a day. I'm a little frustrated with that.
So there's a solution we haven't found yet.
No.
Is water bowls. This dog's a little bigger and more like agile, so I think we can put her
like
for
on the
water,
toilet,
like somewhere higher up. But we used to have a Chihuahua, an old Chihuahua, so he just had to be on the ground, so his water had to be on the ground, and he stepped in it and we stepped in it. And we're always parked on a hill, so just like run under everything so.
Into the battery bank.
That's the biggest struggle for us.
But having the high ceiling and it being like so like all season sort of, it just made it so easy to live. And plus you're traveling and having the best trip ever, so like it's not hard to be happy.
For this van, I had kind of half redone a Chevy Express that I bought. It was camperized, but it wasn't as cute or practical. So I had some experience with a van before this, but this was my first from scratch build. And then since then, I realized I loved construction and working with wood, so I now do carpentry and do home renovations as a full-time job. So what we love, I think, the most out of van life is just like the flexibility and the ability to be super spontaneous. Like we don't have to plan anything, and neither of us are like the biggest planners, so you know, if a weekend opens up, we can go to the Sunshine Coast or to the Gulf Island, and we don't have to worry about like booking an Airbnb or, you know, finding a campsite. We also boondock a lot, so we're pretty good at finding cute free spaces to park. So just being able to be spontaneous. We mostly leave all of our stuff that we need in here, like our camping stuff, so we didn't really need to pack. Just kind of get home from work on a Friday and jump in the van. We spent every weekend in this just by ourselves in the pandemic. We got a Whistler season pass, so we would go up to Whistler and stay up there all weekend, and snowboard every weekend just because no one else had anything to do.
I was gonna say, it was kind of like a really cool escape from the pandemic at times. Like we, especially like kind of in the beginning when things shut down and no one wanted to see each other and social distancing was like really strict, we would just take the van, and it felt like home when we didn't want to be in our home anymore because we didn't have to be.
I mean, such a small space can go from clean to like trashed in 2 minutes, so keeping it clean was tough, but also it's a pretty quick cleanup. So at first, when we were newer to van life, like finding good parking and places to sleep where we didn't get the terrorizing knock on the window in the middle of the night, which like haunts me to get that knock. We weren't as good at picking the right spots and being as discreet. So in the beginning we did get, you know, the occasional knock and had to get up in like 3 a.m. and figure out where to go. So that was challenging, but we kind of have honed that skill, and we will, like, if we do know we want to sleep somewhere where there's not a lot of, you know, overnight parking or free camping, we'll kind of set up somewhere, cook our meal, do all our things, and then we're night owls, so like right before we're going to bed we'll move to somewhere we're gonna sleep, you know, at like 11:30 or midnight, where we're less likely to, you know,
Get caught.
get a phone call to
Yeah.
the bylaw officers on us. So yeah, do it. Yeah, I would say don't be intimidated. Like, you know, everything is on YouTube now, and like it's so scary when you're looking into the vans and you think you don't have enough skill, but like, you know, it's you learn so much like by doing it. Like, I learned that I loved doing this, so now I do home renovations for work, and I always want to have a van on the side to be working on because I love doing it. It suits all types of lifestyles. Yeah, definitely people who are a bit more minimalist, I would say, that don't need like all their things. But yeah, I can't think of anyone who wouldn't love this lifestyle, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think, yeah, even when we first moved to Vancouver, we thought about living in it, which we were both super open to, especially with prices being so high. But with the lack of like shower and just some of the things that we thought we might need, plus it was raining every single day and it gets so muddy. But like even both of us working professionals, I think easily could have done like held down our jobs and stayed in one place and lived in a van and been very happy. But we sold out and got a place. But I guess when I met Lisa and when we started Vanlife, I was kind of in this place where I was pretty done with living in Toronto, and I was pretty burnt out from my last job and a lot of other stuff going on, and kind of like started this like philosophy, I guess you'd call it, of just go find it. Like, go find whatever it is fills you up. And since I just started doing that, I've been wildly happier. Like, it's been such a change. I used to be such a planner and such like a need to know what my life's gonna look like, and once I stopped doing that, I found a lot of other things to love, including van life. So yeah, I'd say mine is go find it.
Yeah, I would say just it allows you to be, you know, you can have your structure but also have the freedom to be as spontaneous as you want, but you can
do it all.
So I decided to, you know, I quit my job. I had enough money for a down payment for a house when I was living in Toronto. Not a house, but a tiny condo. And I just kind of like woke up one day and was like, I don't want that right now. And so I put that towards a van and being able to travel for 2 years, and it led me to her, and then we did it some more.
Yeah, I'd say we were both like had a minimalist like mindset despite having a lot of stuff. So I don't think either of us are too high maintenance. We both kind of go with the flow and just live for our like experiences more than our things. But I definitely had a lot of things. So in that sense, I downsized quite a bit when we moved into the van. We were also moving across the country, so, you know, it forced me to look at all my things. And I think I actually did the like, does this spark joy thing with all my things.
Yeah.
And we fit what we could fit into the van, and then we moved a few pieces of furniture out from my place. But yeah, it definitely made me appreciate just having what I needed, because you only can fit what you need in a van.
It's much
5
more
dinghies
simple.
being one of those things.
Yeah, like we're minimalist. I don't have like any clothes, but like I'm like, we need to keep all 5 dinghies because what if one pops?
Yeah.
What if we have a friend over that wants to use a dinghy, and like we need like 10 camping chairs and 4 frisbees and all my lacrosse sticks. Like, so we have some things in there that's like a little bit not minimalist, but what I learned from living in a van with my partner is that like we moved into a van together only like 6 months after we met. So that was a pretty good indicator that like we're now married and have been together for almost 4 years. So it was a good indicator earlier on that like the fact that we could build this thing together and put our brains together and work so well together, and then live together in such a small space, it was it made our relationship really strong because we made it work like pretty seamlessly. Like we never felt like we were like in each other's way or needed space, or it just was, it worked out really well. We made us kind of realize that if we could do that, we could do anything.
Yeah. I remember when I first started telling people I was going to do this, people saying like, oh my God, I couldn't live in such a tiny space with my partner. And I was like, oh, I couldn't live in a bigger place.
Yeah, I know. Too far away in a bigger place.
I need you here.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend. Also, if you want to watch more alternative dwellings, we got a playlist popping up right here, and we release new episodes every single Sunday, so consider subscribing.